Good,
Um,
good.
so from what I'm hearing, you are an owner of various companies, and what you do is build them up and you sell them. Is that right?
You could define that in one way. Yeah,
Okay. Could
that's.
you define it another way?
I would rather call myself as a solution provider.
Okay. Could you describe what you do a little more in depth?
I spend my days solving problems for my businesses. That's probably the most accurate description.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Nice. That's nice.
mhm.
So could you walk us through what you do on a daily basis?
Yes, I spend a lot of time talking to people, meetings, finding the essence of the business really, why we do it, what good will that do, how can we get better, what are we trying to achieve, all kinds of questions we ask ourselves on a daily basis. How does this particular thing meet our long-term goals, stuff like that. That's how I spend a lot of my time.
That's interesting. That's nice.
Mhm.
So has the pandemic in any way affected how you work?
I do have a diversified businesses, so yes, it's affected some businesses and it is did not affect some businesses. I know it's at the end of the day, it's a wash. There are good things and the bad things. So the way I look at it is, it's a wash. It is something that is happening. There's nothing you could do but to adapt. That's how it change for any time.
Okay, that's interesting. That's
Yeah?
nice.
Mhm.
Um, so how did you get the idea or concept of doing what you are today?
Well, that has to go back to my very first business. I was consistently late to my job, so I got fired. So there was nothing else I could do but to start my own because I can't fire myself. At least that's what I thought that time. But now I can fire myself. But when I was angry, that's how it started. It started very innocently, just like I said. It's nothing to do with. I have absolutely no idea where I was heading. But then, I was also going to a business school. I was new in America. There was nobody I could rely on. So I figured, what, maybe I should just start my own business. And that's how it started. And then over the time it evolved where there is a meaning, there's a purpose of everything we do. There are like goals and they're pretty streamlined, more streamlined. Mhm.
So what's the goal of your business? You mentioned that you had a goal. So what is it?
Well, the overall goal for the life will is the same for me for my businesses is to achieve a good social good. How do we empower few people? I mean, I'm not talking about just building some hospitals or giving some meal vouchers. I'm talking about empowering. How do we empower people to be able to be on their own? That's my ultimate goal. So I'm building few businesses just for the sake of them to leave it to the next generation, and then I obviously try and empower them. That's my goal. That's if we can achieve that and we can do about 10 20 times in the next 10 years, I mean, that I would say that I achieved my goal. That's what we are here for.
Nice.
Mhm.
So do your employees have the same goal? Like, do you hire them based on what their
No,
goals are?
my employees, there's only one thing I teach them. There's only one thing. I really don't teach them skills. I really don't teach them anything else. Only thing I teach them is what is the right thing to do. If they could ask that question over and over in their daily work life, as they come to the office or when they're working from home or whatever it is, then they will be a better individual for me. They'll be a better employee for me. That's it. That's the only goal for them. Anytime they were in trouble, my first question is, did you ask what is the right thing to do? And so that's pretty much should sum up the life of theirs too. So there's so many people that told me that's the right question to ask, but what do I know? That's all I know. So
Yeah, that's a great concept
mhm,
to follow.
mhm.
So how many employees like this do you have?
Several. In the US, across all our businesses, we have over 150 people. We got about 50 in Mexico and about 150 in India now, right now.
That's nice. That's really
Mhm,
nice.
mhm,
Um, so moving on from that, you said that your goal is to empower, right?
mhm.
So do you feel like you have the qualities that helped you build your business? Like what qualities? Could you name three of the qualities that you have?
Well, the qualities that have built my business, that's a very loaded question. But I always believe that being a good human being is the number one quality anybody should have, whether it's building business or the life or just per se in general. When you good times and bad times, what is being a good human being? Oh, listen, I've been good. I gave a buck to the panhandler. That's part of being good. But really, being good in my book is being apart from the honesty and integrity, which is a must and must. We had to teach them from the youngsters. We also had to practice the tolerance and patience. It's okay, fine. If somebody says something, I'm going to be patient. Not just that. It's basically not expecting anything from others I think is the biggest quality anybody should have. The funny part of it is when you do that, right? It's not what the other person has to done or how I react or what. When you don't expect anything from others, they will always surprise you by exceeding your expectations. So, because you're not expecting anything. So it's very easy to beat zero, So that's, I believe, is the number one quality everybody should have. And at least that is something which I like to practice more than what I do. And the second quality is, like, as I said, what is the right thing to do? Ask that question over and over. And the last quality, which helped me quite a bit when I was young. I was broke, I was poor, I was alone. But what really helped is challenging myself. It's not doesn't mean that foolishly trying something. But it's about learning, educating, and pursuing our goals. That is what I call as challenging myself. And I believe that's how I built, and I hope I'll be, continuing on these three posts, over the future. But again, these are the three qualities I can think of off my head. That's a pretty loaded question, though.
So, do you feel like these qualities of yours, how long have you possessed them for? I heard that the third quality you had since like you were younger,
Yeah.
but how long do you feel like you've possessed all of these?
I think I have this qualities, on a scale of like maybe 2 out of 10 sometimes, and maybe 10 out of 10 sometimes. It always fluctuated, but finding out that these are the qualities I should have, this is my right path, has taken some time.
Mm-hmm.
And once I figured that out, then I became just an overall great human being. That's that's it. Everybody needs to know what is the recipe that makes them good. It doesn't matter about how much you have, what family you have, but it's about you being good for yourself, the self-conscious, and you happy and being content of where you are. And that is the point where you'll know, okay, fine, now I achieved what I wanted to achieve.
That's nice.
Mhm.
So, when did the realization hit you that you needed to have all of these qualities to build your business?
It's all the time. Sometimes, I make my own golden rules. And I remember once I broke one of the rules, not the three qualities. I'm just talking about the golden rules for the business of what to do, what not to do. And that came back pretty much biting me. And that's when I realized that I should concentrate more on these golden qualities and not to do anything, aside of these. So it is, that's when maybe about 15 years back is when it just started to gel around. But it's very difficult to say, because when you have success, very few people look back and say what made it successful. I read so many books, keep saying that, keep doing what you're doing, your secret formula, keep repeating it. It's so difficult. It's easier said than done, because you could do all these things, but the factors that are not in your hand may be different. And maybe that time you need to make different decisions, different paths. Life is complicated. So nobody said it's simple. So there's no simple answer for it. So
Mhm. How would you define success?
when I am very happy and content with what I have done.
Happy and content?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is very important in life. It's You can't measure it. So this is my yardstick.
Okay. So, moving on from these questions, I heard you invest a lot in other businesses and stuff. And um, so, could you walk us through how you decide what companies to invest in?
Wow, it's almost like a needle in a haystack, no? So, everybody these days, if you open up my Twitter, I probably follow close to about 1,400 people. 800 to 900 people either are VCs, venture capitalists, or entrepreneurs. And if I put $1 in all of them, you would imagine that I would be a billionaire. And that's how tough it is. No, it's if even 0.1% of it is successful, then I'll be rich. That's how difficult it is. You're talking about taking a fly in 1 out of 5 to 10,000 companies. But the key for me always been is, do I believe in what this company is doing? What are they trying to solve? Is this a real problem? Does the problem even exist to start with? Those are the key questions we had to ask ourselves. And finally, what is the barrier to entry? So if tomorrow I decide to do the same thing, would it be easy? Or if some smart guy, smarter than a lot of us, right, they decide to do it, how difficult it is to do the same thing again? And these questions should give us an answer where we can see, and then we need to get to the numbers. That's my recipe. There you have it. I hope you use it and make a lot of money, so I could count you as one of my people I enabled. So that's all it is. It's all about, is the problem exists.
I'll definitely use that tip in the future.
There you go.
So did you start using like what you just said when you first started investing? Is it what you thought of, or
that was actually, to be honest with you, that was my very first document. When I moved to San Fran about 15 years back, my first template was, every company I'm going to invest, this is what I'm going to do. And so when I had my VC for about 4.5 years, 4.5, 5 years, we did exactly that, and we were not successful. And we were not. It's just the factors of not just using this, it's about how it comes around. What is the time? When are you applying this? How are you applying it? And then once I decided that I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to do it for myself, I'm going to invest for myself, and then everything started going really different, which is great. And I am using the exact same principles. It's just a different way of doing it, and that's why it is very difficult to just say that is this how it's going to help. It's just let's explain to you simple. A Robinhood, the app you use right now, right? It's and then a Coinbase app.
Yep.
Those two were available for me to invest in. At that point of time, I look at Robinhood and I look at E-Trade, and I see, oh, there's no different. E-Trade is going to kill Robinhood, right?
Yeah.
So what happened? Exactly the opposite happened. I mean, I did not see that there was a need for Robinhood.
Mm-hmm.
In all these questions, if you look at it, its answer is no for Robinhood, and very similar to Coinbase, because it's not even legal at the time. Mm-hmm. It's not legal to even invest in crypto. How they went around and got these things done, and it's amazing. So it's super amazing, because that's basically it. I say you could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And it is for us to admit that these questions will not be the end of it, but this could be a starting point. And then you had to look beyond these questions for companies like crypto or crypto companies, altcoins, or even Robinhood type of apps. But right now there's another company called SoFi. I was so scared of investing in it. But when Robinhood got successful, everybody jumped on SoFi. SoFi is supposed to be killing Robinhood, but nothing happened. Mm-hmm. So it is, you could be either side of Robinhood and you were wrong. You could be E-Trade or SoFi, you're still wrong. So those are the tough situations. I mean, there's no answers for that. And the answers for that lie in the execution of the management. And that's where the last question you're looking at is, what are these people? How are they connected? What do they do? What are they going to do? Are they going to be committed and they're going to push this through? And that's all it is. Idea is 1/20 of an equation. Execution is the rest. And that's why a lot of people put the money. So anybody can give you money, but if you can't execute, we have seen millions of companies going bust. How many people spent how much of money, right? So that's why you go beyond these questions. But this is the basic qualities of what I look.
Nice. So do you have the companies that you've invested in? You said you had about 16 to 18,000, right? That you follow.
I follow.
You follow, but
I follow about 1,200 to 1,400 people.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously, and they're all into doing one or the other investment or a startup or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, do you feel like any of these would really be really successful in the future? Have any of them actually stood out to you?
Absolutely. And some of them I invested. That's why I follow them, to see what they're doing. No, they will. I believe that there could be about 20, 30,000 startups out there. And I haven't followed all of them, obviously. It's humanly not possible. The people I'm following, I think many of them will be successful. Mm-hmm. And they will be successful, they'll be widely successful. But again, it's 0.01% is what you're looking at. Even if there are about a dozen of them successful, that is a huge success for them, because it's just they're going to go to the roof.
Mhm.
Mhm.
How do you feel like businesses will be successful these days with like really big companies such as Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook? Like they're really taking over the business world. How do you feel like startups will be successful?
Okay, so I have seen a statistic the other day. Do you know this? YouTube is bigger than Google today, and
Really?
Google has purchased it. As a matter of fact, YouTube generates over 10 billion in revenue a week or something like that. Some big number. I don't know exact number. And they paid less than $1 billion to buy YouTube. So this is how they so the reason why they purchased, what they bought it, because they have a roadmap. They know that the Google search is coming to an end. It's going to be media. It's going to be the video ads. So the companies which has a vision and which has the ability to execute them are the one that's going successful. And Facebook, same thing. Instagram pulls in more money than Facebook by itself. So I mean, in that note, Facebook would have been out of business if somebody else bought Instagram. Well, if they execute exactly like how Facebook executed, that's the key, So it's they are going to enable, or it all depends on how they're going to scale, how they're going to manage, and how they're going to adapt to the new thing that's coming in. So Facebook's supposed to have a crypto coin that's supposed to be the next thing of it, but no, it's not. Crypto coins are not the next thing. It's about enabling the crypto infrastructure is the next thing. So you're always late. If you did not execute in time, you're always late. So that's why the execution is so key. To do it on time, do it at the spot, and doing it quick. Whoever does it is going to be successful. Just like Tesla. Right now, there are about what 40 different companies which are trying to do the battery cars, and Tesla is valuable than all of them combined.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's execution, right? I mean, they were broke. Elon Musk was broke at one point of time, and he has to loan his last billion to SpaceX. And today he's the second richest man in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. It's a risk. It's a risk they had taken. Smart people take very calculated risks, and they are very successful for that. So good for them. That's it's all about execution and doing it with the vision. If you have the right vision, if the guy who's running the business has the right vision, and he has the right pieces, and if he executes in time and purchases or buy, it's obviously there's no time to build these days. It's all quick. I need it yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So buying the right pieces and integrating them with their businesses is going to be key. I mean, Microsoft is buying left, right, and center. Look, LinkedIn is purchased by Microsoft. For all you know, tomorrow we'll turn around and we'll say Zoom is done by Microsoft again, because they bought Skype before, so they are into this one. So it's about imagine Microsoft buying Zoom. That's a good execution right there. So So I hope I answered your questions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So you said it's all about timing at the moment, right? Like at any point of time you need to buy something, it should be at the right time, otherwise it's late, right? Execution.
Yeah, absolutely. But buying at the timing is execution. Absolutely. Yeah, you had to buy at the right time.
So how do you feel at the moment? What do you feel would be the right thing to invest in or to buy?
There are several of them. Excuse me. It is what is really powering the need right now. It could be the silicon chips, which is really huge in demand, right? It could be even the lumber stock. People cannot buy fast enough. So it's always the need of the hour. I mean, you got to look at it and say, okay, fine. If they don't have enough homes and they're not selling, and for the next 2 years they're going to buy. So how are the lumber futures doing? What are lumber stocks can I buy into if they're cheap? Or right now the graphics GPUs are in huge demand because there's lack of silicon because they're using that everywhere, in computers, even in Tesla batteries and everywhere. So I mean, you got to go and see if this particular company is serving the need and it has a potential to grow. That's it. That's the only thing you have to look at. And then you invest in it, and let's hope the management takes care of you and then executes it, But your job is to actually, check the fundamentals at that point of time. I mean, and I seen somebody saying that, oh, Tesla is at 680, it was 780 last month, so I'm going to buy it and keep it. That is definitely not what I want anyone to do. So yeah.
hmm So right now we're in the middle of a pandemic,
Mhm.
1.5 years, I think
Mhm.
it's been. Yeah. So
Mhm. It's a lot every year, about 13, 14 months. It's March of last year, right? Yeah. Mm,
yeah.
mm, mm,
Yeah, one year.
mm.
So do you feel there's so many things that are going on. Everything's changed, like what we do during work, school, social life, and lots of businesses, their stocks have fluctuated like crazily, and we
Crazy.
don't know what to really invest in. We never did, but it's really crazy now. It's a really turbulent time for the stock market. So, what companies do you feel? What do you feel that companies should do to help them through this pandemic? Should I rephrase that in a different
Yes,
way?
please. Yeah,
Okay.
I did not get the question. I got the rest of it. So, so
Do you
mm.
feel that companies, oh, how do I phrase this?
Well, let me explain to you. The company is never worried about the stock price. At least the good companies, they're never worried about what the stock price today is.
Mhm,
If all they should be worried, any good company, is where we are heading to. You know, so I was at a pre-IPO company, and we took them public in India, and it was a pre-IPO company. We never worried about what shareholders are going to punish us because we don't have good quarter, but we always worried about, we said this that we're going to execute. Did we do that? See, that's what the company should be worried about. The company should never worried about it's a pandemic. This is happening. They should be worried about the pandemic. They should adapt and see, hey, how we can make the adjustments in this new time. But at the same time, they should never take their eye off the big goal post. They should never. And that's the only advice, I mean, and that's why as an investor, you should be looking that if they're doing a knee-jerk reaction and sending this press release, oh, because of the pandemic, we are going to now build all these things and we're going to forget about whatever we said in the past, right?
mhm.
I would pull my money from the company tomorrow, because you are just reacting. That's not what you as what I expected, because you as a company has so many resources. You have research analysts, you have all kinds of people, smart people that put together. You should be thinking that, okay, how is it going to affect my plans? If my long-term plans are going to get shattered, is this the wrong way to do it? Let's say we work.
Mm.
They had to go out of business because there is no possibility of people going back to the commercial offices and using the shared office space, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for them, yeah, I'm just going to close up, or I'm going to rent it out as whatever per hour, whatever they do. Okay, that is pretty direct effect. But most of them should not be that way. And there are a lot of businesses that reinvented. One of the great stories is coming out of India. It's called Ola Cabs. You know Ola Cabs. You
Yeah.
probably used it, right? You know what they did at this pandemic? That's amazing. They converted of building, they were building a batteries for the cars before the pandemic happened, so
Mhm,
that they can actually run their cars, their own fleet with the batteries instead of the petrol, there's a lot of gas, right?
mhm.
So they converted those factories and those batteries for two-wheelers. And so they make two-wheelers and they're not selling them. They're putting it out for rental, self-rental two-wheelers. They're manufacturing using the batteries.
Wow, that's so smart.
Exactly. See, now, would I invest in Ola? I mean, after pandemic, everybody fled. Like nobody wants to touch Ola. But
Mm,
after, they took 6 months, 7 months. They converted the whole factory. It's a huge city in a city in Bangalore,
mm.
and they converted the whole thing into this. And that's the innovation. That's what I'm talking. And yes, I would put the money in the company. And without fearing. Yes, they reacted for what is happening, but they also actually adapted that to their goal. And
Mhm,
that's what you're looking for in the companies.
mhm. So they adapted to the pandemic and
Absolutely, in a big way. They are going to release 10,000 bikes a day. It's the world's largest two-wheeler factory is what they built in
wow.
pandemic, mind it. So, because they could not get them enough. So initially they're going to put for their fleet to rent it out. And after that, they're going to sell it to the people because gas prices are at the roof. And so they're going to sell it to the public.
Mhm.
And so that's amazing. I felt that is one of the most creative ways of turning around a company.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm, mhm.
So do you feel like any company that you know of has not done really well during the pandemic? Unlike
A lot of a lot of them. They're just there. A lot of people has reacted and taken it, and they're all old school Wall Street firms. I don't believe. I mean, that's why they got punished. I mean, investors watch. They're not stupid. The stocks that got punished, there's a reason for why they're getting punished, right? So we may not know the reason at that moment, but there is a reason for it. If you sit back and really think about it, it's okay, that's what happened. So the last week or so, the stock market is a little soft, and people predicted that because a lot of people, they had to pay the taxes by April 15th. And they made all the gains last year, so they had to sell stock to get that. They predicted this. They predicted the end of March and first 2 weeks is going to be soft. End of March is not, but first 2 weeks of April was soft because people take the money out of the stock market. So many factors, they happen because there is an event that is going to happen. So that's all it is.
Okay, so I aspire one of these days to be, I want to major in business and then hopefully get into business law, a nice law school. So I heard that you went to IIT, which is one of India's most prestigious college, at the age of 12, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did you get there? How did you do that?
Sheer luck, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. I was 12. Do you remember what you did at 12? No, I was 12 and a half. Because in July I'm 12 plus, right? But no, it was just how my parents did it, and it's not my thing. They said, hey, you're going to go and take this entrance and see how it goes, and so apparently it went well, so that's what happened. It was nothing planned. It was just a thing of it. There was a town I was moving to. There was no university, so my father was worried that I will not get to the right university. So I finished my +2 very quickly. I mean, literally, I think I did my 7th grade, 10th grade, and +2. So he was like, oh, he was all panicking, and then okay, fine, take the exam. I did it. It was just fortunate, and those days are different. They would let the dumb people get in, but so not anymore. You got to be really smart to get in those universities now. But it's just fun, all fun.
So you had classmates that were how many years older? 8 years older?
At least 5 years older. As a matter of fact, almost all my classmates, their daughters are going to Stanford. their kids, all of them are going to colleges. All of them. I cannot find anybody still in the school, So, but it is, they all decided to have a life, pretty clean life, and that's good for them. So,
so you're really successful in.
I'm successful for myself only because I'm very happy where I am at what I did. As I said again, it's, yes, I did miss a ton of opportunities. I probably did, a million of them. I'm not the smartest guy in the kitchen, but it's just like I am very happy of how it went. I mean, I won't trade. I don't regret. I just am very happy because, again, going back to, listen, I believe in these principles, and if it doesn't fit in, I'm not going to do it, because every time I do something which doesn't fit in, and it's going to come back, biting me. I tried once or twice to do outside the box, and it did not work for me. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't work for anybody, because again, the investing is nothing but the more the risk you take, it's the bigger gamble you take, the bigger the returns. Okay. So then the problem is, let's assume that 5 people are taking the same risk, and it's only 20% chance. What happens to the rest 4 of them? So, so I mean, it's so I am not at the 20% risk, but I'm more like 30-35% risk level. So that's why I'm very happy where I am at, because looking back, I had a great run. So,
do you have any tips towards the happiness that you've achieved today?
I'm telling you, you got to do everything you're happy with. Never take something or do something because you had to do it, or you had to do it for paycheck. You got to be some reason of why you got to do it. Even if it's that, because I'm going to work at McDonald's, right? It's okay to fill the time because I need some pocket money, or I want to pay for my phone plan. That is fine. But the place you're going to work should be the reason of, listen, if I'm going to go to business school, I want to see how the management works. I want to see the processes of what they do. Why is McDonald's so? See, that got to be the reason you're there. It's not just the paycheck. So when you're happy and you're looking for the answers you want, and so all this information collecting your brain processes by itself. So that's what I would say to you, especially you're saying, I will say the same thing to my daughters, that, So it's like, basically, do what you need to do. Yeah, you got to be happy, but at the same time, if is this going to meet the goal, like Doesn't matter where you work, doesn't matter how much you make. Yes, it's going to pay for your phone plan, I understand, but at the same time, what else are you going to get out of it?
Mhm.
That is has to make a difference. So if McDonald's only pays $9, the other company may be paying $11, but you're not going to go because it's a smaller company. It's not going to help you in learning the business basics or the management of the process. I mean, in McDonald's, no matter where you go, they have the process down to a science. How they could go are able to do that? They probably have 1,000 stores in the world. I don't know how many they have, at least more than 500 probably, right? How is that they get the consistent message across? And if you see where you're working and say, oh, this is the reason why. Because everything is structured. Everybody goes by the book. Everybody tells you 1, 2, 3. That's it. Don't deviate. And these management processes are what you're going to learn in your business school. And this is what you're going to use when you start a business of your own. Or if you're going to be there as somebody who already started, they have an idea, but you're going to run the business for them. Because being a lawyer in management, that's what you're going to do. You're going to end up as a CEO of a company. And so you have all these processes. Okay, this is how it's done. This is how it should be done. You're doing this way, but we can be more efficient this way.
Mhm.
And so those are things I want you to learn from the early age. That's all. I don't even know where you work by the way. So I'm just making up an example because it's the easiest example for me to pick. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's what I want you to think. Everything and every decision you make, not like where to go for movies today, but any long-term decisions or like a little time-consuming ones. I want you thinking how it's going to fit my plan of what I'm going to do. You don't know exactly what you're going to do, but you know this management and you want to have a legal background. So at least you know the parameters where you're going to.
Yeah.
Now, how does it fit in? What you should be looking at, not just doing your job, but these are the things you got to keep your eyes open for, because they don't teach you that. It's your job to learn.
Yep. Okay. So you're saying look at the bigger picture, right? Of
Yeah.
all things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. So today what I've pulled out of this is use your tip with stocks and look for good companies to invest in, and look at the bigger picture when it comes to companies, right? And management and all that. So I just want to thank you for being with us today. It was
You're
great talking
welcome.
to you.
I
Yeah.
just hope that I just shared what I know. I just hope that you liked what I said. You don't have to take it on the face value again. So good luck. And if you want to email me some of your ideas for your stocks, I'll be happy to look at it for you.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much for being
Okay.
here.
Good. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye.